This is the newsroom for today, Wednesday, April 28, 2021. We're broadcasting to you on E1 Scar TV, NTN, and Tarsi TV in Bartica. In the headlines, Guyoil's Chief Financial Officer Sean Prasad and board member Akini Blair have been removed from the company following allegations of a fuel scandal.
Massive corruption we inherited here. Let me make it very clear.
The United States Ambassador to Guyana, Sarah Ann Lynch, engages quarantine fishermen on illegal fishing and a catfish ban to the U.S. President Irfan Ali says the government will soon have to consider the need for a COVID vaccine passport. The Civil Defense Commission is exploring deeper partnerships with the Florida National Guard. And in sport, Guyana unlikely to host Golden Jaguars World Cup qualifiers home game in June, and Massey Motors to stage medal play golf tournament this weekend. With the news, I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for joining us. We started by telling you that the government inherited massive corruption in the state-owned oil company Guyoil, and those involved in the latest attempt will be removed, President Irfan Ali said Wednesday morning. The Chief Executive Officer, Trevor Basu, was being sent on administrative leave after his performance at the helm of the company was reviewed, but he resigned and denied any involvement in corruption. President Ali said Basu stays resigned, and Chief Financial Officer and Company Secretary Sean Prasad will be removed, as well as board member Akini Blair. The president said, quote, all those who had inappropriate contact must be removed, end quote.
There was a performance evaluation conducted, and the CEO was asked to go on leave because of performance-related matter. He subsequently resigned because of that. He stays resigned. The board member, Blair, and I've asked the board member Blair be removed, and the staff, I think Sean Prasad, I think. That staff will be removed because he was on probation. In addition to this, there is an ongoing investigation with Guyoil. There's an ongoing investigation with Guyoil where $300 million in fuel is being investigated with the Army, where they had great mismanagement. The Auditor General had raised that. The investigation, we have an investigation ongoing also with companies collecting fuel from the terminal, and those companies had no right to be there collecting fuel in other agency name, and these are things we inherited, and those investigations are going on. Those investigations are with the police and the Auditor General at the moment, so I can't comment more on that. But those are things we inherited. Massive corruption we inherited there. Let me make it very clear. Massive corruption at Guyoil. And it is being investigated. It is with the police and the Auditor General now. No fraud was committed because no transaction was entered into. That's the first thing. No fraud was committed because no transaction was entered into. But what is of great importance to us is to have a review of the system to ensure that the system is rigid and strong enough at every tier to deal with any potential from a company or an individual wanting to commit a fraud. And that is what we're evaluating. We've also made it very clear that all those who had inappropriate contact must be removed. All those who had inappropriate contact must be removed. So that would be my take on this issue.
Expressing concerns with reports of illegal fishing offshore Guyana, the United States Ambassador Sarah Ann Lynch on Wednesday traveled to Cariveton, Region 6, East Berbice Quarantine. She met with members of the Upper Quarantine Fishermen Co-op, the Upper Quarantine Chamber of Commerce, and the Mayor of Cariveton, where the issue of illegal fishing was discussed and the United States' support for Guyana was restated. Kurt Campbell joins us now.
Following up on commitments by the United States government to assist Guyana in tackling illegal and unreported fishing, United States Ambassador to Guyana Sarah Ann Lynch on Wednesday paid a visit to Corriverton East Berbice Quarantine. During her engagements there, she met with fishermen and members of the business community, where a range of issues were discussed. Those issues include, but are not limited to, unreported, illegal and unregulated fishing, the ban on catfish export to the United States of America, security, governance, and the licensing woes of fishermen in the region. Ambassador Lynch was particularly concerned with unreported, unregulated, and illegal fishing.
Well, they did mention that the catch is down, which is a problem for the fisher folks. So when they are out there fishing, they aren't catching what they used to catch. So while they didn't mention observing specifically illegal fishing, one could say that that might be a possibility, or perhaps some of the larger commercial ships that are out there are fishing at such a rate that it's impacting these fisher folk who fish closer to shore. So they are concerned, and they're watching the situation very closely. I believe some of their more immediate concerns revolve around licensing issues and the cost of receiving their licenses from Suriname.
The United States ambassador also met with members of the Upper Quarantine Fishermen's Co-op, where the issue of licensing was raised. President of the Upper Quarantine Chamber of Commerce explains the issue.
The challenge that they have is the amount of boats in the small area that they're fishing. And what they said is the nets are tangled, and that's one of the challenges. As you are aware that for any Guyanese fishing from 66 to fishing, they has to have a license. They work with a counterpart in Suriname, their license, meaning that they have to use someone in Suriname license. Prior to now, they used to be paying $300 US to their counterpart. It has gone up by $3,000. It doesn't end there. They have to, under the contractual arrangement with the license, they have to take the fish over to Suriname. What the Surinamis don't need, that's the fish returned back to Guyana. My understanding is that the chairman would have made representation, and the Honorable Minister of Agriculture is communicating with the Suriname authorities to have 150 licenses to Guyanese fishermen. The documentation was complete on Guyana part, I was told. They are waiting on the Suriname authorities.
The United States ambassador also committed to working along with her colleagues in the United States of America to address the current ban on the export of catfish from Guyana.
Our plan is to just relay this issue back in Georgetown to the appropriate ministries and continue that conversation.
The big issue about the export of catfish, and you're aware of the ban that we had, it was raised with the ambassador, and she's promised to look into the issue. The U.S. government is addressing it, so it's just a matter of time to deal with the Fisheries Department, and I believe soon we should have an answer. Because you know the gilbaca is pretty demanded in New York City, and that is classified as a catfish also. But Ambassador was sharing, I don't know if you want to share the U.S.
Yeah, no, we're well aware that this is a product that the diaspora really enjoys, and but there are certain rules and regulations for the export market of catfish, and so we've had technical meetings with the folks here that would be responsible for making sure all the appropriate safety measures are in place and whatnot for export. So they're working on going through that list, and as soon as that is complete, hopefully there'll be some good news at some point in the future.
Reporting from Corriverton East Berbice Quarantine for the Newsroom, I am Kurt Campbell.
We tell you now that President Irfaan Ali on Wednesday maintained his strict position that his government will not engage opposition leader Joseph Harman in high-level talks given the opposition's reluctance to accept that the PPPC was legitimately elected. Asked at a press conference about engagement with the opposition, the president played a recording of Harman following the Chief Justice ruling on Monday in which she dismissed the opposition's elections petition. Harman described the ruling a clear attempt to protect what he called the installed PPP regime from scrutiny and from being removed from government where they have no right being. Dr. Ali pointed to the attack not only on the PPP government but the judiciary also.
Just bear with me for one moment. We will appeal this at every level until justice is delivered to us. We must keep hope alive. We must continue to fight. We will continue to work to remove this installed PPP regime. Through it all, you have been resilient, and I salute you. We must continue to be resilient and stand firm against injustice. We fight against principalities and powers, but our struggle is just and righteous, and the struggle must continue. Today is a dark and ominous day for democracy in Guyana. The ruling of the court must strike fear in the heart of all democracy-loving people in Guyana, in the Caribbean and around the world. I will stop it there because it takes us nowhere. How do you respond to that? That is the APNO AFC response to the court ruling. I just played for you. Does that give you any indication that they have any interest in working for the development of this country? Now attacking the court for driving fear in people. I think that answers the question. Our position in relation to Harman is very clear. I played the tape. Instead of doing what is right, he has now gone totally outraged. Not only at the executive now, but at the judiciary also. Not only the executive now, at the judiciary also, but three separate arms of government. I can speak for the executive, and I've spoken for the executive.
When the newsroom returns, the Civil Defense Commission is exploring deeper partnerships with the Florida National Guard, and President Irfaan Ali says the government will soon have to consider the need for a COVID vaccine passport. This is the newsroom. A 35-year-old man committed suicide after he stabbed a 27-year-old woman he was in a relationship with on Tuesday afternoon at Blackbush Polder in Region 6 East Berbice Quarantine. According to police reports, the woman and her two children were en route to her house in a hire car on Tuesday at around 17 hours when the vehicle became blocked by a car driven by the now deceased man, Troy Sandy. Police headquarters in a statement said that Sandy subsequently exited the vehicle, brandishing a cutlass and behaving disorderly towards the woman. The hire car driver and another man attempted to de-escalate the situation, but Sandy attempted to chop the woman. Reports indicate that he subsequently threw the cutlass aside. As Sandy and the victim continued to argue, it was related that he armed himself with a knife and stabbed her in the neck before escaping. The victim is currently admitted as a patient at the New Amsterdam Hospital in a serious but stable condition. Meanwhile, police reports stated that Sandy was subsequently found at the Maibikuri Public Hospital, where he was admitted as a patient for consuming a poisonous substance. He died the same day. As the Civil Defense Commission attempts to develop its capacity to deal with new and emerging hazards, in addition to pre-existing threats, the body is exploring how it can deepen its partnership with the Florida National Guard. More in this report.
What we try to do with this type of visit is to foster and strengthen relationship. So we've discussed a number of areas where we can look for and have further discussion for support. In the area of search and rescue, in the area of oil spill response. So we discuss opportunities of having subject matter expert exchange visiting Guyana, and even persons from Guyana visiting the different U.S. military operation training activities that are done in the area of emergency response and emergency preparedness.
Meanwhile, it was also noted that the CDC has been upgrading its structure to cover a broader mandate of the CDC's emergency response. The Florida National Guard is also in Guyana engaging in a training exercise with members of the Guyana Defense Force, the GDF. President Irfaan Ali on Wednesday said that the government is prepared to examine all options to help Guyana recover from the COVID-19 pandemic, including a vaccine passport, in the face of hesitancy by some to get vaccinated and the recklessness of some persons in flouting guidelines put in place to prevent the spread of the disease, which has so far killed 58 persons here this month alone. What is being discussed around the world is that the passport could be digital or in paper form and would be used to certify that a person has been fully vaccinated. This would open the way for easy travel in and out of countries. The passports could also be used to access certain businesses, offices, and events hassle-free. Those who weren't vaccinated would have to go through a screening process and testing. Guyana is rolling out an aggressive vaccination program, but citizens are not absolutely required to take the vaccines.
The vaccination passport is becoming an essential document to conduct business now. It lowers requirement if you're traveling to some countries. Some countries are now even moving towards removing the mask policy. The mask policy if you have both vaccination. And some countries are even contemplating a two-tier system. Those who are vaccinated fully and go for public services, you go through the line. Those who are not vaccinated, you have to go through some testing before you get to that service. Some countries are contemplating that right now. We will have to contemplate all of these options at some point, because we cannot take the health, our collective health, put our collective health at risk by a few who do not understand the importance of all of us getting vaccinated to get out of this together.
Meanwhile, the president was stinging in his rebuke of those who continue to go about their activities in a reckless manner and are flouting the COVID-19 guidelines. He said that the government will put more soldiers and policemen on the ground to ensure compliance. When it comes to bars and entertainment spots, he said the National COVID-19 Task Force has been asked to consider charging the owners.
As I said earlier, we thought good sense would have prevailed, but it hasn't from the population in the way they treat the pandemic, COVID-19, their behavior, their actions. Let me give you an example. Over the weekend, I received a call from the task force that the enforcement unit is on the highway, the Linden Soosdijk Highway. And there are no less than 1,000 persons there. There are no less than 1,000 persons. If we take all 1,000 persons into a police station, we are creating another disaster. I just give this example to highlight to you the challenge we face and the requirement for Guyanese to understand that their lives matter. The lives of their family members matter. The lives of people in their community matter. And they cannot be this reckless. They cannot be this reckless. So, I've asked the Prime Minister to discuss with the task force how we now shift the focus on the owners of these facilities and the managers of these facilities. So if the owners and managers allow these breaches at their facilities, then they'll be charged to the full extent of the law.
Torn between the support from union bodies across the country and the complaints of the local private sector, which has not recovered from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Labour Minister Joseph Hamilton on Tuesday said he was seriously considering signing and issuing the order necessary to bring into force the new national minimum wage of 60,000 Guyana dollars. Kurt Campbell reports.
Labour Minister Joseph Hamilton announced plans to give effect to the new minimum wage as he met with the board and management of the Guyana Sugar Corporation, GuySuCo. During the brief engagement at the Ortochang Conference Centre, Minister Hamilton reminded that the tripartite committee had agreed since 2018 to increase the minimum wage to $60,000. Although the agreement was reached, it required the minister to sign and gazette an order to give effect to the decision. That was never done. Even now, with Minister Hamilton willing to move the process forward with the support of union bodies, the private sector has complained that it may not be ready to accommodate an increase given the economic situation the country has faced over the past year.
The representatives of the workers are saying, Minister, issue the order yesterday. The private sector, they are saying, you have to take consideration with the intervention of COVID. I have taken a lot of licks for the matter on all sides. But as minister, I have to take those two positions, and I have to do what is best for everybody. The worst thing could happen, and I have argued with the unions this, that tomorrow I issue the order, and a company that has 60 employees, they have to send out 20. Are you understanding? So, that is the issue, and I understand what you're saying. And that is the reason, even though every day somebody who represents the union curses me out, I don't pay attention to it. But I have to pay attention to the fact that COVID is real. The intervention of COVID in the economy is real, and I have to pay attention to that. And I'm diligently paying attention to all the arguments. What I can say is that the order will be issued. What I have not done is put a timeline on the order.
Meanwhile, Hamilton said while GuySuCo was not in violation of the minimum wage, he was shocked to learn that they were paying persons below $50,000. He implored GuySuCo to approach Cabinet to discuss the impact a potential increase in the minimum wage would have on the company, which is currently unable to pay workers their salary increases.
And that was utilized against me by the private sector. When I was seeking to push to have them have me issue the order to raise the national minimum wage to $60,000 as agreed since 2019, before I came. And they said to me, when I was saying all government agencies and corporations, they're paying $70,000. Then I learned that no, that is not so. GuySuCo minimum wage is not $70,000. So I'm not saying you're violating anything. I know your struggles. I'm a member of the cabinet. I know the problems. All of us know the problems. But it is for GuySuCo management and it's for GuySuCo board to come to the cabinet and go to the higher powers to make your arguments on behalf of your employees.
Chief Industrial Relations Manager at GuySuCo, Deodat Suku, explained that GuySuCo was in conformity with the private sector minimum wage of $44,200. Suku said the Sugar Corporation was paying unskilled workers $47,000, while the clerical staff was being paid $60,000.
GuySuCo by itself, the company that also got me here, is a company that registered its own rights by its own board that we sit in here, and fall within the realms of a private-owned government entity. Had it been a public service entity, then over the last 5 years, with due respect to everybody, we would have received the increases over the years, which would have not have taken us at this level. That our minimum currently is $47,666.
The private sector minimum wage has not increased since 2017, when it was raised from an hourly rate of $202 to $255, taking the monthly salary from $35,000 to $44,200 for a 40-hour week. Comparatively, the minimum wage for the public sector is currently $70,000. For the Newsroom, Kurt Campbell.
This is the Newsroom. As the COVID-19 vaccination program continues across Guyana, Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony on Wednesday said there is no need for sports persons to worry about the COVID-19 vaccines affecting their training or performance. Here's what he had to say during his daily briefing.
These vaccines, how they work. One, when you get the vaccine, your immune system would be stimulated to produce antibodies to fight off a virus. So the vaccines does not interfere with any other body functions or other systems in the human body. What it does is just to stimulate your immune response to viruses and to protect you. So if you're an athlete, it wouldn't have any adverse effect on your performance as an athlete, and therefore there's no reason why high performance, or all athletes for that matter, there's no reason why they shouldn't take the vaccine.
The minister also noted that once Guyana is able to achieve herd immunity by vaccinating about 500,000 adults, considerations would be made for allowing the resumptions of sporting activities. Sustainable Environmental Solutions, SES, a new waste management company, officially launched its services in Guyana on Tuesday at Roraima Duke Lodge in Kingston, Georgetown. The company landed a multi-million-dollar contract with Stabroek Block operator ExxonMobil to manage ensuing waste created from Guyana's novel oil sector. Shakima Day reports.
Sustainable Environmental Solutions, SES's contract with the Stabroek Block operator ExxonMobil covers the management of hazardous and non-hazardous waste and the treatment of drill cuttings. The company is a joint venture partnership between Geico Construction Services, Guyana Shore Base, and the Carina Group, an international waste management company with headquarters in Finland. Finance Minister Dr. Ashni Singh, who delivered the main address, commended the launch of the company, deeming it a significant development for Guyana.
The fact that SES is now officially launched and is starting its operations means, first of all, the manifestation of a significant investment in Guyana. I'm told that the total value of the investment in the plant amounts to approximately $10 million. So it translates, first of all, or it represents, first of all, the manifestation of a significant investment, which in turn represents the creation of jobs. I'm told that when it is operating in capacity, SES would have created and would be maintaining a minimum of 40 jobs, local jobs. The generation of incomes, the creation of value added, contribution to aggregate output in our country, all of which are incredibly exciting things.
Meanwhile, Carina Group partner and director of SES, Paul Roach, said that the company has worked closely with ExxonMobil over the past 18 months to design a facility that caters for their needs. He told those gathered that the SES facility will be housed at Gisby at Houston, East Bank Demerara, and is currently being constructed.
We have a 10-year operational contract which throws up many challenges, dealing with what we know today, but also trying to forecast and plan for the future waste production and waste composition needs. This crystal ball is very important. We have to think ahead of us, but we equally have to deal with what's presented to us today. We touched upon earlier the changing world of waste, and waste in effect is a resource, and therefore designing solutions that can identify, receive, treat, and ultimately convert those valuable resources into products and services is our ultimate goal.
The SES director pointed out as well that companies must strive for local content and try to address Guyana's waste management problems in our own backyard rather than exporting it overseas. The company is expected to provide jobs for 40 locals. For the newsroom, I am Shakima Day.
Meanwhile, the government is working along closely with the Stabroek block operator ExxonMobil to ensure that the current technical issues plaguing the Liza Destiny FPSO's flash gas compressor system does not carry over into the Unity and Prosperity vessels set to come on stream in coming years. The Minister of Natural Resources, Vikram Bharat, spoke on the issue on Tuesday. Here again is Shakima Day.
Providing an update on the Liza Destiny FPSO's latest flash gas compressor malfunction, Natural Resource Minister Vikram Bharat reported that government is engaging with ExxonMobil to ensure the issue does not reoccur with the Unity and Prosperity FPSOs. Those are being constructed by Dutch manufacturer SBM Offshore, with the Liza Unity for Exxon's Liza Phase 2 project and the Prosperity for the Payara development.
Those FPSOs are almost double the capacity of Liza Destiny. So we have gotten that assurance that General Electric will be used to, as the manufacturer, to ensure that the compressor, there is not a recurring problem on those FPSO with the gas compressor. So we have moved to that stage. However, coming back to Destiny, we're hoping that within the next 2 to 3 months that we can finally get this problem fixed. Because as I mentioned, it is a concern for us. As a government, we don't want this to happen. It's a bit unfortunate. But we are pushing with Exxon, EPGL on a daily basis to fix this issue. Whether it's a design issue or any other technical issue, that it is fixed once and for all and we don't have this problem.
Minister Vikram is hopeful that ExxonMobil sticks to its timeline given of 3 months to resolve the current gas compressor issues aboard the Liza Destiny. The company had reported on April 13th that it had slashed production to 30,000 barrels of oil per day after experiencing difficulties reinstalling the flash gas compressor. Production was at 120,000 barrels per day. It did not affect Guyana's second lift for 2021. Later on, Exxon slowly ramped up production to between 100,000 barrels to 110,000 barrels per day. For the newsroom, I am Shakima Day.
We tell you now that the Labour Minister Joseph Hamilton on Tuesday urged the Board of Directors and Management of the Guyana Sugar Corporation, GAISUCO, to take steps necessary to resuscitate and recapitalize its Port Morant East Berbice Quarantine Training Centre. In doing so, Hamilton committed to making resources available at the level of the Board of Industrial Training to assist the Sugar Corporation in these efforts. In a direct charge to the management, which he met with at the Artichon Conference Centre on a range of issues, Hamilton said the training centre must be recapitalized and returned to its former glory.
We would hope to sit down, work out a MOU with GAISUCO. We would hope to be allowed, along with you, to recapitalize the GAISUCO Training Centre, to make it a place that it used to be 30, 40, 50 years ago. When I was growing up in the country and a young man is selected to go there was a celebration in the village, because the competition was so fierce and stiff. I know GAISUCO has had its difficulties, the whole country know, the whole world know. But I'm seeking to offer GAISUCO a way that together we can resurrect the Port Morant Training Centre and let it be useful at the highest technical level. One of the thoughts I have, I share it with you, is we can make it, resurrect the training center and make it also a repair center. So that the young men and women we train there, they know that the job is not a nasty job, a dirty job. It's a job where you make a lot of money.
When the newsroom returns, the financial, weather and bridge reports along with sport. Welcome back to Newsroom. Now for a look at what's happening in sport. We're starting off with some football news. It is looking unlikely Guyana will be able to host the Golden Jaguars' home game against Puerto Rico in the CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers in June. The two Group F teams are due to meet on June 8 in what is a Guyana home game, But according to President of the Guyana Football Federation, Wayne Ford, that match could most likely be held outside of Guyana, given the prevailing COVID-19 situation here.
It doesn't look likely because the main factor there is the international players. If they come here, they will have difficulty going back to their respective destination because of how Guyana has been categorized. So that is one of the most challenging issues that we haven't resolved yet. We're looking at all options because it's travel is not easy either. To use commercial flights to get around this part is becoming increasingly challenging. So we're still working towards confirming where that home game will be. But it doesn't appear as if, even though we have made submission to CONCACAF to play home, we had to do that because that's what we had in hand. But from all appearances, it appears as if we are going to be playing that game outside of Guyana.
Apart from that contest, the Golan Jaguars are down to face St. Kitts and Nevis 4 days earlier on June 4, and that is designated a home game for St. Kitts and Nevis. In the earlier games in March, Guyana was due to host the Bahamas and play away to Trinidad and Tobago, but both games were shifted to the Dominican Republic owing to the COVID-19 protocols in Trinidad at the time. While the Jaguars opened with a 3-0 defeat at the hands of Trinidad and Tobago, they rebounded to inflict a 4-0 drubbing on the Bahamas. The victory pushed Guyana to third on the table on 3 points. Trinidad and Tobago sit second on 4 points, while St. Kitts and Nevis lead the table with the maximum 6 points from 2 matches. Puerto Rico 1 point and the Bahamas 0 complete the table. Only one team would advance from this group to the next round. Cricket news now. Last year, organizers of the Caribbean Premier League had the luxury of 2 accredited grounds in Trinidad and Tobago to host their matches during the pandemic, but there were numerous criticisms raised on the quality of the pitches. This year, one venue, Warner Park in St. Kitts, will host all 33 matches from August 28, but the Chief Operations Officer Pete Russell says they are confident they can manage the facility to its best.
Yeah, that requires a good deal of management, as any agronomist will know. To play 33 games in one venue is going to be challenging. But what we're blessed with in St. Kitts is that there are 6 grounds around the island, all of which can host the training. And so we'll be making use of the training facilities which are away from Warner Park. So effectively, the Warner Park will just host the games. And actually, one of the largest wear and tears of any ground is when there's practice sessions on it, people playing on the outfield before games, etc. So we're totally aware of the challenges. We're blessed again I'm going into my nerdy agronomist chat, but the soil in the wicket in St. Kitts is some of the best in the region. So we're very comfortable that actually we'll be able to prepare some incredibly good decks for the players, as we always have done. So yeah, we're comfortable. We use a pitch consultant who's based out of New Zealand. He deals with Eden Park, and he's also dealt with a number of US grounds as well as work for the ICC. So he will be coming into St. Kitts probably 10 weeks before the tournament to assist and make sure that obviously everything from grass growth through to preparation is on track. So they've obviously worked very closely with the grounds people in St. Kitts before and are very comfortable and confident that we'll be, as I said, preparing some great wickets.
News out of the IPL now. Chennai Super Kings moved to the top of the IPL table with a comfortable 7-wicket win over Sunrisers Hyderabad in match 23 on Wednesday in Delhi. Chasing 172, Chennai got off to a rousing start from openers Ruturaj Gaikwad and Faf du Plessis, who added 129 in 13 overs. Gaikwad led the way with a fine 75 of 44 balls and du Plessis made 56 of 38. Though they subsequently lost 3 wickets, all to Rashid Khan, Super Kings got home with 9 balls remaining. Earlier, Sunrisers 171 for 3 was built on 61 of 46 from Manish Pandey, 57 of 55 from David Warner, and a late flourish of 26 of 10 from Kane Williamson. Lungi Ngidi took 2 for 35. IPL action continues on Thursday with 2 games at separate venues. Mumbai Indians play Rajasthan Royals from 6 hours and Delhi Capitals face Kolkata Knight Riders from 10 hours. Heartbreaking. That's how Shimron Hetmyer described Delhi Capitals' 1-run loss to Royal Challengers Bangalore on Tuesday. The Guyanese left-hander, who cracked 53 not out of 25 balls and almost secured victory for the Capitals, said he's in a good space with his spouse by his side in India. He spoke to Delhi Capital's media after the game.
It's always nice battling Rishabh, and I hope that we continue to get the chance to battle with each other. It was heartbreaking, to be honest. I really thought that we could have, or we should have gotten there, but I guess that's how cricket goes. Sometimes you win some, you lose some, and then you'll have some close ones. But I guess tonight just wasn't our night to cross the line, but I think it's a lot for us to learn from, I guess. Yeah, I honestly did, because for some reason I just felt pretty good tonight, and I was just like, whatever it is, whatever they throw at us, that we could have gotten it. And I'd really tried. We really tried our best to do as much as we can and to take the game as close as we can as well. But as I said, I guess it just wasn't our night. It's pretty easy when the person is similar to me, to be honest. I think it's much easier when you know someone. It's basically their game is basically just the same as yours, to be honest. So I think it was a little bit easier, and we run well between the wickets as well. And from the we had a practice simulation one time where we were batting together as well, and it felt basically the same. It felt like if I was playing with him forever when we were batting tonight as well too. So it's always nice batting with Rishabh, and I hope that we continue to get the chance to bat with each other. Pretty satisfying, to be honest. Since the last year I was trying to get a 50 for the team and to try to do something spectacular for the team, and almost got there, but I think I'm in the right frame of mind now with my wife being here and stuff, so and having the backings of the team as well to just go out and explode and do my thing. So I think I'll just continue to go the way that I know, and this is basically how I know to play, to be honest. It's just a salute to my wife, basically. We had that from since a couple of years back, to be honest. She was, well, I think still is a sojourn back in Guyana, so it's just like a salute to her, like when I get to a milestone.
We tell you now that technocrat member of the Guyana Cricket Board, Anil Bihari, says he is advocating for an increase in salaries for players in the academy to a livable standard. Bihari made this comment in a recent interview with the Newsroom. Akeem Green reports.
Currently, the A-grade contract for an academy player is $100,000, while B is $75,000 and C is $50,000. Pre-COVID-19, players were required to train alongside the Guyana Jaguars players at least 4 days per week, usually at the National Stadium Providence or the Everest Cricket Club. According to Bihari, while they are still assessing the finances of the board after the new executive was elected on March 29, he will be pushing for those numbers to be increased. Bihari is in charge of governance, marketing, and finance at the GCB.
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, for me, to pay a man $75,000, $50,000 a month, and then he has to take care of his own, if he comes from board, a secure board, he has to take care of his own transportation, I think, and accommodation and meals. You're not encouraging him to play cricket. You want him to turn up and turn away. I would, if those figures are correct, I would, as a member of the board, with having some responsibilities for marketing and finance, we'll try our best and recommend to the board to increase it to a livable or living wage, as they call it.
Meanwhile, Bihari said Cricket Guyana Inc., who manages both the academy and the Guyana Jaguars players, is an independent body and will have to be guided in how they move forward.
Well, let me be honest with you. As I said, we're in a transition period. We're not okay with all the figures coming in, but we will soon get onto CWI, which is Cricket West Indies, I accustomed to West Indies Cricket Board, and to give us some details. Because if you know by now, the CGI should have been an arm of the Guyana Cricket Board. The Guyana Cricket Board, based on the cricket administration, well, West Indies Cricket, the sole shareholder should have been Guyana Cricket Board, with its elected members as directors. Unfortunately, CGI, I don't think that's what happened with CGI. The rest of the Caribbean is fine, so CGI becomes a private company that we cannot put our hands on right now. However, Cricket West Indies, who've been pumping funds through CGI, will have to guide us through this period, because the players will have to, at some time, get their monthly stipends or their monthly salaries.
CGI has been managing the Guyana Jaguars franchise since the then West Indies Cricket Board started the Professional Cricket League in 2014. The following year, CGI awarded 12 Tier 4 Academy contracts worth $50,000 each. 14 players were awarded CGI contracts in February 2021. The Guyana Jaguars have won the 4-day championship 5 times in the 6 seasons since the advent of the PCL. For the Newsroom, Akim Green.
Gulf news now. Massey Motors has collaborated with the Lusignan Golf Club to stage a medal play tournament set for Saturday, May 1 at the Lusignan Golf Course. The company on Wednesday formalized its sponsorship during a simple ceremony at its headquarters in Rheinveld, Georgetown. The tournament will tee off at 12 hours 30 and will take the format of an 18-hole medal play, according to Secretary of the club, Chet Bowling. The players who record the top 3 best net scores will be rewarded, while there will be prizes for the best net on the front 9 holes and the best net on the back 9.
What also I'd like to add, because of the generous sponsorship of Massey, we're also adding to the trophies that I mentioned, we're also adding cash vouchers to the winners. So each of the winners I mentioned will have a cash voucher that they can use at the club. That format works very, very well, and as the president mentioned, it was great competition last week, and given the importance and the popularity of the Massey brand here in Guyana, I think we'll have a great tournament this week. I always like to point out that I really inspired when I see companies like Massey demonstrating what I call good corporate social responsibility.
Bowling added that the sprawling Lusignan Golf Course allows for players to observe the COVID-19 social distancing protocols, noting that the club is keen on enforcing those measures.
All COVID protocols will be in place. We also encourage people to make sure that they're conscious. Even though it's a COVID-friendly environment, we all remain very cognizant and conscious of the current environment. Looking forward to a great tournament. Once again, thank you, Massey, for your generous donations.
Chief Executive Officer of Massey Motors, Rohit Kunja, said that the company is excited and proud to form an alliance with the Lusignan Golf Club, thereby supporting national development through sport.
Now, the Massey Guyana Group consists of our group of companies. Most would be familiar in Guyana. We provide employment for over 800 employees. And in keeping with our motto, a force for good, creating value and transforming lives, it is our intent to continue to support national activities that aid in the development of our country. And one such area is sports, of which we do have executives who participate actively in competitions. So we are very happy and excited to support this venture, and we look forward to the collaboration for future tournaments.
President of the Lusignan Golf Club, Patanjali Prasad, while thanking Massey Motors for embracing the promotion of golf, said he's anticipating an exciting afternoon of competitive action, as was the case last weekend in the NICOLÁS-sponsored competition won by the multiple-time Guyana Open champion Avinash Prasad.
We would like to express our appreciation to the executives of Massey Limited for this golf tournament. We expect a very exciting tournament this weekend. We expect competition, very fierce competition, as we had last week. We saw one of the most memorable scores by the leading golfer in Lusignan last week. So that was actually had broken a record here, or equaled a record. We'd like to express our thanks from Massey for joining with Lusignan Golf Club to sponsor this tournament, to show the friendly nature of corporate sponsorship in this society.
Prasad added that the Lusignan Golf Club will open its door to corporate sponsors to learn the game as part of efforts to expand and promote the sport. And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. Of course, you can find updates on these and other stories on our website, Newsroom.gy, our Facebook page and Instagram. On behalf of the entire news team, my name is Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching. Be safe. See you next time.